All right, guys, welcome back to yet another episode of the Reminder Remedy. As you see, I have this lovely Ashley Brown with this beautiful brown skin, by the way. Your skin is just glowing. On the line, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alina. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I am excited to chat with you.
Yes, it's going to be a great conversation because I don't know about you guys. Have y'all gone back to school yet? Or y'all after Labor Day?
Oh, so my children are going back to school August 29th.
Oh, okay. So y'all are coming up soon, but we are like in full blown back to school mode here in Atlanta, which I feel like August for me always feels like this personal internal like reset of just like planning, organizing, like staying on top of routines and like in my household, obviously with 4 kids under the age of 7, like everything has to kind of be like this, right? And so I really wanted to just get into this really good conversation with you because, you know, I do have a lot of mom listeners, but I also have a lot of people who just like me are obsessed with how can I optimize my life, right? So I know that you are like planner extraordinaire, routines, organization. So we're going to pick your brain on all of that. And I think it's just going to be perfect timing for when this episode comes out for everyone who's just kind of either getting into new routines or kind of going into, if they're listening to it later, going into the holiday, which we know is like a whole nother thing. But of course, we got to get into you. We got to understand you, the person, right? So tell me a little bit about you. Like, how did you end up in this space? Like, what do you feel like were some pivotal moments for you really trying to get or become an expert in this lane?
Yeah, so great question. So first, let me see. I'm going to take you back to 2018. That's when I transitioned. I was a working mom, nurse educator, working full-time, 40 hours a week. Came home to be with my one daughter. I only had one daughter at the time. Came home to be with her. She was around 1 year old. And I dropped down to only about 10 hours a week at work. So I was working 1 day a week and was primarily a stay-at-home mom. And I never thought I would get the chance to be a stay-at-home mom. Like I was raised by a single mother. I didn't know anybody in my family that stayed home with their kids. Everybody needed to work to pay bills. And so when I got the chance to be a stay-at-home mom, I was like, yeah, let's do the daggone thing. Why not? Let me try this out. And so I was super excited about it. But once I got home, it was not how I thought it would be. Not at all. I wish somebody would have warned me. Everybody was like, oh, you going to be with your baby? I'm like, y'all could have told a sister. Like, you could have told me something. But but no one did. So I wasn't really prepared for the transition. I thought it was going to be easy peasy. I'm like, okay, if I can be a working mom, I can be a stay-at-home mom, no big deal. And that's not what happened. When I came home, I struggled really greatly with my identity. It was like, I need something else to do. I can't just be in here taking care of this child and, you know, cleaning up this house. Like I need to stimulate my mind a little bit more. And I was like, I don't know if this is really for me. And I think that really sent me into a spiral. I got very depressed at a certain point in time. Even in that time as well, I started a food blog because I was like, I need something else to do. I love to cook. I'm from the South. So I love to cook and I needed something else. So I was like, let me start a food blog. Let me be in here cooking, showing my recipes. But I think with the identity issues that was going on with me focusing on the business and not really focusing on my home, things just fell apart really quickly. And that's when I was just struggling. And so eventually I got back to a place where I wasn't struggling as much. And what helped me was routines. So I remember like praying to God. I'm a huge God girl. So I prayed to God, like, God, please help me. I was depressed at the time, had been depressed for months. And I feel like God was like, okay, you just need better routines, like start some routines. And I'm like, okay, God, okay, I'm gonna start some routines. How I do this? I don't even know. Like, what do I do? Because I'm naturally organized and I naturally have like fallen into routine in the past. So to like be very intentional with a routine, I was like, I don't even know how this looks. So let me just go with what I'm thinking. And so one by one, I started to build routines, a lot of trial and error as far as like what worked, what didn't work. And eventually I got to a place where I felt more peace of mind. I felt like I could manage my home well, and I got a little bit more organized. And so that's my story. And that's how I landed with routine and things, is because I really wanted to help women, because I saw how impactful routines were, like even outside of planning. Like, yes, I love to plan. I think planning is awesome. But I'm also one to tell you, you need routines as well, because planning isn't going to save you every single time.
So how do you define routines?
I would define a routine as just a flow of actions that you do consistently. It's like a way that you flow, like, and it can be in it can be in different areas. Like we know, like morning routines, you can have evening routines, bedtime routines, an after school routine, an exercise routine. You can have a rest routine where you sit your butt down. So, I mean, it's just a flow of actions you do regularly, and that's really it.
Okay, so I want to go back really quickly about when you first got home, and I don't even think you said it was actually extended. Let's talk a little bit about the depression part of it, right? Because I do feel like, when we think about the term depression, we kind of throw it around, but we don't really give it life in terms of like what it really feels like. Like my depression could be different from yours. People say, oh, I'm depressed, and it's like, talk to me about internally, what were you feeling? I heard identity crisis. What else were you experiencing in that moment?
Just not feeling like I knew I was capable, but it wasn't showing in my life. I'm like, I know I'm capable of doing a lot because I've done it. I know I'm capable of managing my home because I've done it. Why is this not working this time around? What is going on? Why do I feel like I don't want to get up? Why do I feel like I don't want to take no shower? Why do I feel as if I'm not interested in cooking no more in anything that I was interested in before? Why do I not have energy about myself? So my energy was really down. And so that's how I was feeling at the time. Like, wait, I'm coming home, this ain't working out. And really what it was is I was not, when I have thought about this in the past, because I've done very much therapy and just self-development in general and continue on that journey. But what I realized was I had an expectation. And when I got home, it wasn't what I thought. And so instantly, because I am a recovering perfectionist, instantly it was like, wait, this isn't what I expected. So then when you're expecting something and it's not looking like how you expect, then what ends up happening is you get stuck. It's like you don't know what to do because you weren't even expecting to have to shift or pivot or anything. You thought it was going to be just like this. And so that's really what happened during that time.
Wow, that's so good, because I remember when I had my first child, I expected that feeding a child meant every 3 to 4 hours. My understanding of breastfeeding can be every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes didn't even cross my mind, right? So when I'm in this planning mode, I'm about to become a mom, a working mom, and running my business with my baby as a newborn, I never even considered, oh, wow, like this could actually be a full-time thing, right? And I remember reading a blog post, and those who listen to my podcast, I give this example all the time, but I read a blog post that basically said, listen, especially in the first 3 to 4 months, breastfeeding will be 80% of your time. Anything above that, consider it to just be icing on the cake, like find some relaxation. And it was like the moment that I was able to shift what I expected from it, because now I had this new awareness, I didn't have all of these expectations on myself, right? I became very, very clear around like, this is what reality is. Reality is that my kid, which I said is my priority, needs the most amount of time. So everything else that I'm trying to do is not realistic in this season. So now I can reframe my expectation. And to your point, that joy came back, because now I'm not filling my days with stuff that feel defeating when they don't get done, because I'm now expecting most of my day is going to be feeding my kid. And if I have an extra 5 hours, now I'm winning, right? Exactly. So I think that, to your point, so much of life is like, I expected to be happier or richer or skinnier or this and that, right? And then when we get there, if it's not exactly how we lined it up, then all of a sudden we come crashing down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about, the journey out of it, right? So starting to create your own personal routines. Talk to me about people like Debbie Brown, who I know is like your girl, right? Like, how did all of, the people who really are experts in this field of us really starting to shift those perspectives help you in your journey?
Yes, it's so interesting because I discovered Devi probably about a year after I started the routine journey, but she has been instrumental in my life, just hands down. But that transition, like out of the darkness or just out of that season of life, was me really sitting down. I remember just sitting down. I bought like a planner from Target, like this really simple planner. And I was like, I know I need to plan, like I need to be able to organize what I'm doing. But then when it came to the routines, I was like, okay, what routine do you need, Ashley? And I was like, I need a whole bunch. Like in the beginning, I'm like, I need a whole bunch of routines around here. But the first one I decided to start was a self-care routine. A routine that really nourished me as the mother and as the woman of the house. I was like, I need some type of self-care. And so I determine, or I think that a morning routine is a self-care routine. I feel like that's in that bucket because you're giving to yourself in the morning in some type of way, hopefully. And so I decided, okay, let me start with the morning routine. Let me see how this works out. And during that time, my morning routine was really focused heavily on my mindset. It wasn't about moving my body. It wasn't about planning my day. It was about getting your mind in check. And that looked like journaling. I've been journaling since I was like in elementary school. I have so many journals in my house. So I love journaling. So I started journaling again. I started to do affirmations. And I also started to do gratitude practice, which was really, that was a game changer. I don't think that we understand how it seems small, but I'm telling you, if you can like shift your attitude and shift your mood so quick by just saying things you're grateful for, and you start to realize like, wait, I got more than I think I got. Like, I'm blessed beyond measure. Like, what am I, like, I understand I'm going through something, but let's stay focused on what is in front of me and what I have versus what I might be yearning for. So that was really pivotal for me. And so that morning routine was awesome. And then after the morning routine, I started adding on other ones like my bedtime routine. And of course, I needed like a laundry routine. I was like, is laundry getting out of control? So I needed to try to figure out a laundry routine. And then starting like, a cleaning routine, a tidy routine at night. So it just started to build and build to the point where I remember looking out of my window into my backyard because I washed my dishes like where my sink is. I can have a window and I can see out in the back. And I remember just looking out. It was like a fall day. It feels like how it feels today. It's kind of cool here. It's like 80 something. It was like a nice crisp fall day. And I was like, wait, I'm at peace, God. Like, I'm at peace right now. And I started thinking, and I'm like, no, I know, God, you helped me with this. But I'm like, routines are the bomb. Like, I was like, this feels good. I felt like I had space in my life. I wasn't doing everything every 5 seconds or doing something every 5 seconds. I felt like, okay, I have a flow to my life. I feel good. And that's how I came out of it. It's so funny because soon when I came out of it, I ended up going back to work. But that's
Why? Why did you go back?
because it was financial reasons at that time. And that's really why it was financial reasons at that time. Okay. I don't know. And I honestly don't know if I would have stayed I may have, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I like working.
Yeah, same. I haven't figured out how to, we'll talk about that. Before we move on to going back to work, gratitude. Oh my God. It had to be circa 2013 for me. So 2013 was a pivotal year for me. It was when I quit my corporate job and decided to go into entrepreneurship full time. And I've been an entrepreneur ever since. And to your point, I knew that the one thing that I had heard the most successful people talk about was their spiritual life, their mindset, their ability to transform their mind. And this was from the CEOs that I was working with. I worked with high net worth clients. They were talking about that, to just truly like pastors and people in church. It was like across the gamut. Everyone was saying one thing, like renew your mind and your spirit. And so I went on to, in this spiritual journey as I started to transition out of my role. And the biggest thing for me, like you, was my gratitude journal. It was a 21-day gratitude journal. And all you had to do was for every day for 5 minutes, you just write what you're grateful for. That was it for 21 days. And I think it's more than just thinking about it, right? It's actually capturing it, like capturing those thoughts, being able to go back to them regularly, because it's so crazy how endless the gratitude is. Like, you think you're going to run out of stuff because sometimes life feels so crazy. You never run out. And now, I do a lot of work in the field of positive psychology. And I'm not going to say I do a lot of work in the field. I use the work from the field of positive psychology. And one of the number one practices from the founder is what they call the 3 things that went well today. What went well today? What went right today? Writing that down, and how that activity alone superseded any medication that several of his patients had, right? So that is, y'all, if y'all don't take anything from the episode, I know it's drilled on every episode, gratitude, capturing it though. Okay, that's all I want to say about that. Now, going back to work, right? Because I feel like this is a big thing for moms. It's something that I actually go back and forth with all the time, primarily because healthcare in America just sucks if you don't have a job. How did you ultimately make the decision to go back? And what does a routine look like for working moms, especially as you kind of have tasted like that stay-at-home mom life and you're going back into it?
Yeah, the decision to go back was strictly financial. Honestly, at that point in time, my husband he had a business, he was working, and it was close to the pandemic. When the pandemic, it was like right when the pandemic started, and I ended up getting a job, thank God. Probably because I'm in a nursing field, but that was a blessing. And it was strictly financial. And so when I knew I was transitioning back, I had been doing my routines, and I was like, okay, life gonna look real different once I start working. And so I decided to really think about, well, what routines really need to change, because all of my routines didn't need to change. It was just certain ones, or just doing them on certain days. So like if I did the laundry on like a Monday, like you can't do laundry on Mondays anymore, you're gonna be at work. So it's like, let's try to move it to the weekend day. Or like even for my morning routine, having that kind of be changed a little bit, because now I have to wake up earlier for one. And so it's like, am I going to be able to do as much as I was doing before? And so just changing that slightly. And that was really it, just changing the times of my routines. When you're a working mom versus being a stay-at-home mom, yes, there's going to be some differences in your routines, but it doesn't have to be that much of a difference. It's really about the timing. When do you have time to do the routines that you're wanting to do? You can kind of have the same steps, but you just have to think about the timing of it. So if you are right now maybe in a season where you are about to transition into work or transition to be a stay-at-home mom, the routines that you have sometimes can stay the same. You really have to just, look at it, write it down, and try to think about, do they really need to change or not? Or is it just the timing? The steps may not need to change, or maybe just the timing needs to change. So that's what I thought about when I would transition back to work.
Okay. And are you still working?
No, I'm in, I do routine and things full time.
Okay. Congratulations. Yeah. So talk to us about that, right? Because I think that, everything has a season, right? And one of the things that I see resistance on a lot from my clients is like, they feel like you either can be an entrepreneur or you work. Right. But not, I can actually, for financial reasons for my family, go work. And it doesn't have to be, I'm a worker for the rest of my life. Right. Like there's seasons for everything, And so how did you decide to kind of go into this? How did you launch this company? Tell us all about it, girlfriend.
Yes. So to your point though, I think that's really, I like that you brought that up because we can feel like, especially I feel like now in 2022, man, everybody's like business this, business that. Everybody wants to be in business, which I think is beautiful, great. But just know you don't have to be. Like you can get a job, like even sometimes be thinking like, hey, I want to go teach a little bit. Like maybe I want to do some part-time teaching. So it's just like you got to do what works for you. But my when I transitioned and I knew that I wanted to go into the business full time is when my mental capacity was just capped. I was like, nah, can't keep doing this, can't keep doing, teaching and then coming home doing work at night, and my business was growing. The time that, and this has been recently, I just went full time in my business the end of 2021. So during that time, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this leap. Cause really it was a leap for me. I saved my money and I was like, I know my business is growing. I know what I want to do. I know I can make something happen because I know what type of person I am. So I'm like, and I know I have a good business. I know my business is solid and people need what I have. And so I was like, okay, let me go into the business full time. Let me see how this works. I was like, let me try it. Ain't no harm in trying it. I'm still young. My kids are young. It doesn't even matter. Even if I was older, it doesn't matter. Try it. What's the worst that's going to happen? I go back to a job. I'm cool with that. Fine. So I decided to step out on faith with some plan, of course, step out on faith with a plan. And I've been doing this I've been making it. We're doing this since I left.
Business?
Yes. What is routine and things? So routine and things is all about helping women get organized and into routine so they enjoy the heck out of life. And it's really more so focused. So it's a product side of my business, and I also have a service. So our products are more planners. So planning pads. I have a yearly planner that's coming out in October, which I'm super excited about. So that's like the product side. And then I also run an accelerator program. So routine and things accelerator twice a year. I run that with women to help them get their routines up and going. So if you're needing like accountability, that's the program, because my products aren't going to give you accountability, but the program, the accelerator will. So that is that's my business. I also wrote a book too, which I'm super excited about, which is called The Routine Building Handbook.
Oh, I saw that and I love the cover.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so you got this full suite. Now let's get into a little bit around the business, right? Just because we have a lot of people who are building, right? And like I mentioned, they work, they're building, the side hustle. What was that like, right? Like what kind of things were required for you to get your own planner out there, get, your audience? Like what were some of the things that you did?
So in the beginning, I was like, okay, I just want to teach women about routine. So it was more like education and just community. So I started a Facebook group, and this was in 2019. Yeah, 2019 is when I started Routine and Things. And I just started a Facebook group. That was like the first thing that I did. Facebook group. I also got on Instagram too, of course, but Facebook group was really, I was trying to build that and get women into that. And so that's the first thing I started with. Over time, I was like, you know what? I want to do a podcast. So I stopped the Facebook group and I was like, I want to do a podcast. I think a podcast would be really great. So I started the podcast eventually. And my whole thing was, I knew that I wanted products in the beginning, but I was scared. If I'm being very honest, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of a little nervous. So I stalled for an entire year and I didn't create products for an entire year. I was building community, which actually I don't mind when I look back, because I was like, I had people to buy the products when they came out, but it was out of fear that I didn't do the products in the beginning. And so had the podcast up and going, ended up being like, you know what, I want to start selling planners. I love a good planner. And I was like, I think that the planners that I create could be really great to help women in terms of like even guiding their thinking. It's a lot of planners out here, but I think many times some of them can be too simple, especially when women have a lot in their head, like too blank, to the point where sometimes you sit down and be like, where do I start? I got all this stuff running through my head. And so I wanted to do that differently with my planners. And so created the planning pads, and that's a whole thing because I'm not a designer, so I get people to design my products. I sketch for them. I'm like, this is how I want it to look. This is where I want to be here, there, blah, blah, but they design it. And because I was like, I'm not even touching that. That's not my area of expertise.
Focus on your genius, people.
Exactly. Focus on your genius. And that's what I did. And so, yeah, getting designers and people helping me to just create these products and having to find manufacturers and call around and research and I mean, business, I'm telling you, but I did all of this in like the time that I had. I was working full time for part, like, especially when I came up with the products, I was working full time. I was working full time, and at night I would come home, I would do work. Even when I wrote my book, I would come home, I would write from about 8 to 10, like 5 days a week, like just in those pockets. I didn't really do work in the morning, but it was always like at night. And then also I'm an educator, so we don't work every single day in the classroom. So I would be doing stuff at work. And that's really what I did. But the business is, I love it because it does serve women in the same way, but in different ways. Like with the accelerator and with the products is very different. And just being able to help women, man, like that's my heart. That is my heart, because we do so much in this life and we are always thinking about everybody else. And it's just like, how can you make the most out of your life? Like, make the most out of your life. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to, look perfectly. The aesthetic ain't got to be all of that, but it's just like, how do you feel on the inside? That's what matters. And that's what I'm really trying to get women to, is that feeling of, I'm enjoying my life because I got it somewhat organized. It ain't got to be perfectly organized, but I have it somewhat organized. So I'm able to be present. I'm able to enjoy myself. And that's really what I help them do in my business.
Mm-hmm. So did you bootstrap, or did you get funding, or kind of what was your route for that?
So I bootstrapped. I mean, I'm still bootstrapping. But one thing that I did do for the planner is I did a crowdfund. I had to. Okay. I had to do a crowdfund. My goal, and this is the thing, my goal in the beginning was $20,000. I didn't get to $20,000. I remember because I did it through iFund Women. If you've heard of them, if you haven't, they're excellent. iFundWomen.com. I did it through their platform, and it's like a rewards-based crowdfund, which is, if you give $25, you might get this back as a gift. And so they do that type of crowdfund. So I did that in February of this year. And I've raised, at a certain point halfway through, they contacted me and was like, you might want to lower your goal a little bit. You might not get to the 20,000, and that might entice people to help you get there. So I was like, okay, let me drop it to 10,000. I ended up getting over $10,000, which was a blessing, because I would have not been able to come out with this planner. I did not have the financial support to be able to create this planner because it costs money. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly. And so I did raise for the planner through a crowdfund, which I'm so grateful I did.
And thank you for sharing that, because I think that is something that I'm trying to be very transparent about on the show. We have so many business owners, and I am a program manager for an incubator program that focuses on scaling businesses. But one of the things that we spend a lot of time on in the program is bankability, meaning how do we make it where, as Black business owners, we stop spending our money, right? Like, we have worked so hard to have these little savings and 401ks to then have to pour all into these dream projects when everyone else is getting funding, And so I like to kind of understand where is people's capital coming from. We know that it's always going to be some blood, sweat, equity, right? But being able to have the conversation around so many bigger banks, and not just traditional loans, but there are other funding, grants, crowdfunding ways for people to not shut their dreams down, right? Because out the gate, we're coming out like, okay, we look at the whole plan. I don't got the money. Let me just stick to my job, right? There's so many ways. So thank you for, being transparent about that. So let's just get into the routines, though, because I feel like we've kind of talked around them and we've made them shiny, but I want to get very specific around it. And I know that you have a new method coming out, right? Mm-hmm. So can you talk to us about that, and even get specific around some examples of like a day in the life for you?
Okay. Yeah. So the planning method that is going to be inside of the Routine and Things Planner, which launches October 5th, is called the Routine Block Planning Method. And it's a very simple planning method where you organize your daily tasks into 4 routine categories. And the categories are self-care, family, cleaning, and cooking. And so just to back it up a little bit, this planning method came about when I was a stay-at-home mom, when I was starting to plan as a stay-at-home mom, because like I said, I got that planner from Target, very simple. I love me a cute little simple planner. But then at that point in time, I like came home, looked down at that planner and was like, what the freak am I supposed to be planning on this? It just had like a note section, just had blank. And I was like, okay, Ash, like, what you gonna do? So I was like, okay, you gotta create your own system here because this ain't got no system for you. It's nothing here. So I was like, okay, what are you thinking about in your mind? So I started just writing down, I started brain dumping. I was like, let me just get out everything in my head. I love a good brain dump. And I'm always like telling everybody to brain dump every day if you need to. But I brain dumped everything out. And what I noticed is that certain, like a lot of the things fit into those 4 categories, like self-care, not really self-care, because at that point I still was like, actually, you gotta do more. But I made sure to do a self-care category, but more so cleaning, cooking, things to deal with my kids. I was like, okay, so let's just do these 4 blocks then, making sure you're doing something for you and then making sure you do stuff for your family, you know, cleaning the home and then also cooking. And so that's how the routine blocking came about. I started to plan in those categories. And so when I was creating the planner, I knew like this is what I wanted to be inside of it. I had also tested it in a smaller like planning pad and people really liked it. So I was like, oh, so I think this might actually work. And so for me, when it comes to, or for you more so, when it comes to the routine block planning method, what I love so much about it is it does 3 things really well for you. The first thing is that it helps you manage the foundational areas of your life. And what I mean by this is many times I feel like when we are overwhelmed, when we are stressed in life, what ends up happening is we have an internal conflict many times that where we're not managing the basics well. We feel bad about not managing the foundational things of our life, like keeping the house clean. We're like, wait, I haven't done the laundry, you know, it's piling up, or I haven't gotten to fold the laundry, it's sitting on my couch for 2 weeks. And so we start to feel bad about that. Or we start
Look, are you in my background? Because you see my laundry.
No, no. So we start to have this internal conflict, even like if we start to eat out more than we want to. We're like, dang, we've been eating out a lot, I haven't been cooking. Or maybe we start to miss certain things. Like maybe you end up missing a child appointment. You're like, wait, how didn't I have that on the calendar? It's like this internal conflict that you're not managing the basics well. And so what routine blocking really does is always focuses you on those things. Like always, it's always going to show up for you. What are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for your family? How are you keeping your home clean? What are you cooking tonight? It is always helping you to refocus in that way so that you have a great foundation that you're maintaining, so that even when stressors do arise in your life, you don't feel like you're going to crack and break. You're like, you know what? I can handle it because I know how to keep my house together. I know how to manage the things that truly matter in my life. And I have that strong foundation laid. So
now,
that's the first thing.
Each block, are they daily, or do blocks have certain days, or do you determine that?
Yeah, no. So when you look at this, if you go to my Instagram routine and things, when you look at the planner or the block planning, it is a block for each day. It's a grid. So it's a block for each day and for each category. So like it'll say like self-care at the top, and then Monday, and it'll be a block. And then it'll say the same for Tuesday, and then it'll be, so once you see it, it'll make more sense, but it's blocks basically. That's why it's called routine block planning method.
Well, the reason why I ask is because I think, okay, we think about some other like time blocking methods or light blocking methods, right? One of the things that have worked for me is aligning blocks based on my energy, right? So I do a lot of work around energy management. And so I'll just give an example. Mondays, I know you're a Monday person. I saw that. Mondays are typically the days that people feel like, let me go and like kill it. Like this is the kickoff to a new week. For me, Mondays always feel energetically very like, I'm exhausted because I've had
Mm.
all of my kids through the weekend, right? So what I noticed is that when I would schedule like to eat the frog Monday
Mhm.
morning, it never worked because I was physically exhausted. And so, when I think about the way that I block my calendar, it's, well, what does my body typically tell me on Monday,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like, am I going to have the energy to do laundry? So if I know that my energy normally comes back up by Tuesday, more of my either harder tasks or the tasks that I'm doing to interact with others where it requires energy, I'll put those on Tuesday. So, but I'm not saying that that's I'm just acknowledging that for me, everything doesn't get touched every day. So in your system though, do you find it more helpful based on people you work with to kind of do a little bit every day? Because I have like, I don't know if you follow like Emily Lay. Are
Mhm.
you Emily Lay fan? I'm like, you basically like the Black Emily Lay, but uh you about to shut Simplify down. No, I'm just, we love you, Emily. But her kind of method is like, a little bit of laundry every day. And that has been
Mhm.
instrumental for me when I do that, right? Not
Mhm.
saying I do it, but have you found that kind of tackling each block every day is more beneficial, or does certain blocks, like how does it work?
Yeah, so the blocks, really, the goal of routine blocking is not specifically for you to fill every block. That's not the goal of it at all. It's about, like you said, you getting intentional with what do you have time and energy for? Like time and energy. So it's an example of, because I had about 6 women use the planner before, and you'll see they did not fill in every block. It was like, well, what do I have time and energy for on Monday? Like you said. So if you're like, I don't do the laundry on Monday, you leave, then it's like, don't put laundry in cleaning. Don't put anything in cleaning. You can just X that out, or you can leave it blank.
Mhm.
I suggest probably leaving it blank because I think it just allows you visually to see the space that you have left in your week. And so that's what I love about it. I think that yes, it can be beneficial for you to do a little every day if that works for you.
Mhm.
You could use it in that way. But like, I'm kind of like you. What do I have energy for? And I know when my energy starts to dip, it's like around Thursday. I'm like, girl, we're not doing a whole bunch on Thursday or Friday.
Mhm.
So I put most of my things in the blocks on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay.
So that you can make it work really how
So how
your
do
life
you do
works.
laundry? Tell me the secret, because I can't, like, my mother-in-law came, um, if I feel like I talk about the same stuff on my shows when I record like this, but my mother-in-law, I talked about her on another episode. She was here maybe a month ago and changed my whole life. So number one, everybody's in-law should live with them, or somebody should live with you to help you. Like that's the only way we're gonna get the village back. Anyways, but she basically washed laundry at the top of the morning, midday, she folded it, and by the afternoon, she would put it up every single day. And it was just fascinating to me because when she got here, like my whole corner was full of laundry. She tackled that and then she just like stayed on top of it. So I basically kind of mimicked what she did and it worked really well. Like, cause the kids' clothes get dirty every day. So it's like I either put everybody's clothes in or I just did like one kid a day, and then it made it where I wasn't overwhelmed by the thought of it because it's like, oh, it's just like 10 pieces. So what's your laundry routine?
Yeah, I love that one. I can't do that one, but I love it. I do suggest that to people. Mine is more so like a 3-day laundry routine, which I kind of do the same thing, but is you'll see. So the first day I wash our clothes. I only have 2 kids and a partner. So like we don't have much clothes, and I make sure they don't have a lot of clothes. Like I don't have many clothes, they don't have many clothes. So it's very simple. It's not a
In
lot.
terms of like you have a capsule wardrobe?
I would say, yeah, because I actually don't wear a lot of stuff. I'm actually supposed to be throwing out some things. So I really do have a capsule wardrobe. Honestly, you'll see me rotate the same things all the time. And so we don't have a lot of clothes. So I wash all of our clothes on one day. So one day I'll do it. The next day after I wash and dry, the next day I fold.
Okay.
That's when I do the folding. And then the last day, the third day is when I put it away. So it's kind of like what your mom's doing, but not in the day, just kind of spread out throughout the week.
Yeah. And do you like how long does it take you to fold?
It doesn't take me anything, but probably about an hour and a half. Like I said, we don't be having a lot of clothes. That's the thing. Like I make sure what you like. We don't buy them a lot of clothes, just in general. We don't buy them a lot of clothes. Yeah.
But I think that we can't even skip over that, because decision fatigue, paradox of choice, to me, are primary killers of us right now.
Oh yeah.
Because I started to scale back, right? Like, because I used to just shop when I found something cute, right? For myself. I started to scale back for myself when I started working from home. And I'm like, I literally wear the same 5 pieces. I'm not buying nothing unless I absolutely need it. Mm-hmm. For my kids, it was like, when I had one kid, I shopped a lot. Parker has so much stuff. I feel like the more I had, the more I realized, like, he's not even getting to wear half of these shoes. So now I literally shop for my kids 3 to 4 times a year. Like, we shop in seasons. And even that has scaled down. Now we have uniforms. And so I think it's a big part of it, right? Because what I've noticed is the little ones have the most laundry because they have the most clothes, because they have the most hand-me-downs. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, I can't get rid of hand-me-downs. Somebody may need it. And it's like, actually, no, you can feel free to get rid of half of this stuff. Right? Because if I only had 20 pieces of clothes, the laundry would never pile up. But what's happening now is that it's 300 pieces of clothes in their bedroom. Their laundry is always massive. Parker only has a few uniforms. His laundry is always small. Mm-hmm. I just had a whole aha moment. Let me send you a check. Because, boom, when you don't have that many clothes, you don't have laundry.
Yeah. Girl, I mean, I'm telling you, that's why I tell that's it. Do you not know those little pieces of clothes? Those things add up. You'd be like, wait, hold up. So I remember when I was strategic. First of all, we get hand-me-downs from my neighbors. So I just they're a huge blessing to me, because I'm like, I ain't gotta buy a lot of clothes, and so I go through it. But the thing about it is that you have to lessen the amount of things that you have. Like, even when it comes to you cleaning your house, like, what's around your house? Like, if you have if your children have a lot of toys, I'm going to throw away a toy like that. I don't give every McDonald's, they come in, boom, in the trash. My husband be like, wait, why you thought in the trash? Because they not gonna play with, or they're gonna play with it for a second. It's done. I'm not about to have all these little toys around here that we're picking up, and they be complaining about cleaning up the toys when they play. I'm like, yeah. So I go through the toys a lot. Yeah, I'm all about like minimizing what you have.
I just had a whole breakthrough, because I feel like I've been doing it, and I've been saying it specifically around the clothes, but I feel like conceptually what just happened was a big aha moment for me, because so my biggest mantra with my clients is that, less is more, right? When more becomes less. And the idea is this whole, like, when we can scale back on everything, right? The activities we're involved in, the projects that we take, the type of work that we take, the type of the amount of trips, like when we scale back on everything just becomes easier, right? But I don't think I really understood it, because even like, okay, so we moved because my son has to go to a specialized school. I was commuting 4 hours a day. And I was like, I cannot do this. So I was like, it's the middle of the pandemic, it's no places to live. So we found a condo. We downsized. It literally has 4 cabinets. My home that I built had 16 cabinets, okay? So I was forced to downsize, to your point. And for the longest, I haven't understood why I feel so light when it comes to kitchen. And now I understand. We literally only have like 8 plates. Mm-hmm. So there can never be too many dishes, because we only have 8 plates.
Exactly. I'm telling you, we got about 4 around here. We got 4. Like, I don't play.
So that's so genius. That is so genius to really think that through. Okay. So what is your dinner routine? Because that is what stresses me out too, is food and cooking and not going out to eat, because I can't do it. Because my children, they don't even eat out food. They like vegetables. They like whole food, so it's like, it's a waste of money. What do you do? How do you cook dinner? What do you do?
Yeah, so I keep things really simple. One, I meal plan as much as I can. Like some weeks I don't do it, but most of the time I meal plan. So I try to decide. I don't really, I will do like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but I know for me, like that could just change. I'm just gonna choose something on the list. But so I meal plan one, but two, for me, it's just like keeping meals really simple. Like what protein are we having and what vegetable am I having? And am I gonna throw usually some type of carbohydrate in there? Like that's how I cook. I'm like, what protein, what vegetable am I gonna have? Some rice, we're gonna have some potatoes, what we gonna have for the carb if I need one. But that's how simple I keep it. I remember when I used to cook, because like I said, I'm from the South. So I can cook now, but I remember I used to make all these like intricate dinners and this, that, and the third. And I don't do that anymore. When I had kids, I was like, they don't work because they ain't gonna eat it anyway. My kids won't. So it's like I have to keep it very simple for them. And then I just keep it simple for myself. And I try to cook like usually the same thing that I make for myself, I make them. So it's like baked chicken, and they might have some rice, or if not rice, then we'll have some potatoes, and then also like a veggie, broccoli, green beans, whatever. But I keep it really simple.
Your meal plan too, like do you sit down? Like, so first of all, are you looking at recipes, or are you just saying, okay, we're doing these 5 meals?
No, so I'm just saying we're doing these because I know the meals that we have in rotation. Okay. So it's like I usually pull from the same bucket.
What are your 5 meals? Just tell me, what are your 5 meals?
So one of them is I love doing baked chicken and a vegetable.
Okay.
Another one that I do many times is spaghetti, which is very simple. I'll do spaghetti or some type of pasta. I might do Alfredo too. I do tacos and quesadillas.
Okay.
My girls love quesadillas. What's another one that I do? Really basic. Like for them, it might be chicken nuggets. So if I'm making them like chicken nuggets and a veggie, then I'm doing like fish sticks. I usually do like fish sticks. I like fish sticks and a veggie or something. Or maybe I just take the baked chicken from there and I do it with their veggie. But that's really it. And then on Fridays, it's usually takeout. So I do that.
And then do you grocery shop or do you Instacart?
I Instacart.
Okay.
I'm an Instacart fan.
Yeah, me too. Like I can't believe like people, I went to the grocery store with my kids like a couple of months ago, and it was a utter disaster. I was like, absolutely not. I'm never doing this again. Do you do small Instacart orders, or do you do like 2 weeks worth?
Oh, I do small. So I do weekly. We don't eat that much, and like it's only 4 of us, and so it's like I do weekly, but then I'll also do bulk items from Costco. Okay. And so it's like monthly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So talk to me about, I want to know about 2 more routines. Sorry, 3 more. I want to know your morning routine. I want to know your night routine. And then I want to know your work routine.
Oh, okay. So
and then get out of your hair.
Okay. So my morning routine all of my routines are very simple, but the morning I wake up, I usually pray first and foremost. Then I go and get ready to work out. So like I'll go into the bathroom, do like brush teeth, wash face. I just say, get ready to work out, put on my workout clothes. Then after that, I will do my daughter's routine. So my daughter's routines their morning routine is infused in my routine. Okay. So I wake up, pray, get ready to work out, get them together, which means just putting their clothes on, washing their face, brushing their teeth, coming downstairs. And that's when I fix them breakfast. While they are eating, I work out. That's when I work out while they're eating. So they sitting at the table. I don't care if they call me 50 million times. I don't care if they say they work out. It's like usually a HIIT workout or like strength training. Yeah, cardio, strength training. It just depends. Who have I been doing their workouts lately? I forgot, somebody on YouTube. She has a challenge going on, so I've been doing hers. But I'll work out while they're eating breakfast. And then that's when my husband will take them to school. So then he drops them off. And when he takes them to school, I go upstairs and get ready for the day, the work day. Okay. So that's my morning routine. And I eat, of course, after I get done putting on my clothes, I eat. But that's it. That's my morning routine. It's very simple, but it gives me what I need because I've already planned. So I don't need to look at that. I journaled the night before. So yeah, that's my morning routine. Then my bedtime routine, I love my bedtime routine. Oh my gosh, I love it. So what I've been doing lately, because I'm in the accelerator right now with 30 women. And so I've revamped my bedtime routine recently. And so what I've been doing now is I take a bath at night. I love me a good hot bath. It has to be hot. A good hot bath. If I got some Epsom salt, it's gonna go in there too. So I take me a good hot bath. And then when I get out, of course, like I put on, well, I actually don't put on, I sleep naked. But anyway, so I'm like, don't lie to these people saying you put on clothes. But yeah, so I then when I get into bed after my bath, I will then journal and then I meditate. And I use the Chopra app to meditate, which of course I love Debbie. So
I've got one. Okay. Simple. I love it. Now, do you meditate naked too?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I'm just like sitting up because I have, the headboard. So I'm like sitting up on the bed with a pillow on my back. Yeah, meditating.
And then just kind of on flows. Okay, cool. Yes. And then how do you work?
Oh, how do I work? Oh, my work routine. Very simple. So after my morning routine, that's when I get started with work, usually around 9, because I'll go sit outside for about 30 minutes. And then I get started usually around 9. I work honestly, my work routine is based upon what I have to do. I'm looking over here because my planning page is over here. And so typically I have 3 things I'm doing. That's really it. I don't do more than 3 things in my workday. So like today it was like, oh, I have a podcast interview with Alina. And then it was like, I need to do my emails for September and start to create those emails for September. And then I had a story swap that I was doing with somebody. Those are the 3 things that I was like, story swap. It's like when we go on each other's stories for like a minute and talk about what we do to kind of get exposure a little bit. So
your email, sorry, I'm technical. So like if that was a task, are you like brainstorming on one day or are you actually like doing it, like you're coming up with the emails, you're writing it, and like what's the actual task in a day?
So that task includes creating the graphics for the emails, because I do graphics in my emails. I don't just write or like type. So creating the graphics, and then I put them together and I schedule them. So because I know my stuff is so simple. I've been doing it for a while that it's so simple. I can get it done in a day. That's why that's the only thing. That's the thing that's going to take me the longest time. Like it took me 2 hours to do that. Maybe 2.5. To do 10
emails.
Yeah, but if you saw them, Alina, you would be like, I understand why it's
3 months to do 3 emails.
No, if you saw my emails, but I'm telling you, I have such a I know what I'm gonna. That's also brainstorming was included in that, because I brainstormed when I was sitting outside. Like, what am I gonna put in the email? What am I gonna? So it just flows. Like once I start, it's like just flowing. So that's the thing, but that took me the longest time. And then I did the story swap at 12 and then I got on here. So this is my work day. After this, I'm done. Yeah. So I have to be done by this time, because when my girls start school on the 29th, I have to be done working by 2. I have to pick my youngest up at 2:30 and my oldest gets out at 3. So I have to be done like around 1:30.
Oh,
yeah.
So, okay. I'm so inspired right now by 10 emails.
If you saw,
maybe my emails are too long because I want to get consistent. So this is the thing. I feel like one of the things about routines, right? Like you said, is trying to build consistency. What I have always struggled with work-wise, like I feel like my kids force me to be consistent in terms of the household. Like it's kind of like, if you don't, then everything's just gonna go to hell. But because I have so much freedom and autonomy with my business, the consistency is what I struggle with, because I feel like I spend so much time up here, like, oh, I want to write about the future of work. And then I feel like I have to go and like research 10 different books about like, where are we headed with, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I love your mind. Your mind is beautiful. I love that. That's why like you have to work with like who you are. Like you're, like my mind does not work like the future of work. Girl, I'm sitting here trying to figure out something. Like I'm not even thinking about that. So you have such a beautiful mind just in itself. Like when you get that spark, it might just be, I need to like do what I just need to write it while I get that spark, and not maybe try to go another path. Just be like, I'm going to write about the future of work today. And that's what I'm going to do. So let me focus on that. But I think you have to really try to find what works for you. it just works out that I know like what's coming up, and I have products, so I need to, put those out there. And so I have my certain categories. Like I need to say something about a product. I need to say about the podcast episode that came out this week. Like these are the things that I'm sending.
Kind of like your updates, like your newsletters. Yeah,
exactly.
I think that if I could get consistent with like a newsletter, it's the think piece, it's the thought work that I feel like I can't be consistent with because it takes a lot. But maybe it doesn't need to be a lot, right? Maybe it's one think piece a month, right? Like I think it's more manageable. Okay.
Yes.
So if someone's in your accelerator program, what can they expect?
In my accelerator program, you build, not just build, you build and maintain 3 routines. So you're incorporating 3 routines into your life. So we've been doing it July, August, September. So July, we worked on our bedtime routine because I was like, let's start here, because if you can't have no good morning routine unless you have a good bedtime routine. So we did bedtime routine in July. They got that incorporated. They've been doing so great. The second month is a morning routine that you work and incorporate into your life. And then the third month, they get to choose a routine of their choice, whatever they need in the season of life that they're in. And so essentially you're just getting your routines up and running. It's like that motivation, accountability, support that you need to really make it happen versus just thinking about it. Like, be about it. Like, let's go ahead and get it up and running. And I take them through the process. We have like monthly Q&As, monthly master classes. They are in accountability pods. I do like accountability pep talks because I love to preach and just just say things to them that can help motivate them and give them momentum. And so that's really how it looks. I'm enjoying it a lot. Yeah.
Love that. Wow. Just building that momentum to get people accelerated. I mean, because it's like once you get it, then it's like natural. You know what I'm saying? That's so dope. I love it. So where can people find you? Because I know they're going to be hitting you up.
Yes. You can find me on Instagram primarily at Routine and Things, and also check out the website routineandthings.com.
Okay, well, this has been great. Like, I feel so inspired, not just by your company, but like the way that you have established, this kind of feels like work-life balance, like harmony is like what we say here. But I appreciate you so much. And thank you for coming onto the show.
Oh, thank you, Alina, for having me.